Hey guys, my name is Daryl Cummins. I'm the creative executive here at experiencechurch.tv, and today we're going to be talking about PTZ cameras. Are they good? Are they bad? Because most of the church market, they like to say this about PTZs.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Hey guys, I want to apologize, had to reshoot this section, that's why I look a little different, but wanted to talk about what is a PTZ camera. Why did we choose it? What are the advantages of it? And should you guys consider it for your production? So number one, what is a PTZ camera? Well, a PTZ camera stands for pan, tilt, and zoom. And so this camera is typically used in a remote setting, meaning that typically the camera will be mounted to the wall, maybe the ceiling, hopefully not the ceiling, or on a tripod or a dolly, like this one right here. You can see it's on casters and I'm able to move it. And it is controlled without the need of having a camera operator. For example, like this guy right here. This is our JVC 250 camera. This used to be our studio camera. And you can see that it has a lens control. Typically we put a viewfinder on it, and then previously we needed to have intercom. And so a PTZ camera is very helpful because what it does is it helps save on cost, meaning that you don't have to invest in building out a camera system like this one here. You don't need to invest in a hefty tripod system. You don't need to invest in viewfinder, lens control, intercom, and whatever other type of things that you would need. And so that's one of the advantages of a PTZ camera. But let's talk about PTZ cameras kind of in the church market. I know a lot of people in the church market, kind of like that video we saw, they're not the biggest fans of PTZs. And so I want to talk about maybe some of the cons of a PTZ. So for example, number one, PTZs typically do very poor in low light, meaning that PTZ cameras have a very small sensor. Now Sony and Canon, they've come out with some really cool PTZ cameras that have a larger sensor and give you the ability to have a nice shallower depth of field. But PTZs typically have a very deep depth of field because of a small sensor. And that small sensor also results in poor low light performance. And so we'll cut to some B-roll of our studio, but you'll see that we have lots of studio lighting in here. And so this studio lighting is to help pump that sensor full of light. And so that's one of the reasons a lot of churches don't like PTZs, is because they're in a dark environment and they have not a lot of light on their stage, and so you get bad low light performance, which typically results in noise and grain, which we don't typically like. And so that's one of the disadvantages. The other disadvantage is typically they're not always the smoothest in terms of a live setting. So say you want to do a zoom in shot on a subject. Well, if you do it live, typically it feels very robotic. It doesn't feel smooth and organic and natural. And so that's one of the reasons why people don't like PTZs. But I want to talk about why we chose it for our studio operation. So number one, it was to help with crew challenges. We'll put it like that. What we would do is during the week, we would shoot podcasts and videos, and we found that, number one, if we had a camera like this, we needed to have a camera operator to run the camera. And what we found is that if we didn't have a camera operator and we just set up the camera shot, meaning we got it in its location and we framed it up on the subject, what we found is that during the actual video shoot, the subject would actually move, they'd shift, they readjust, and then we would lose our focus, we would lose our framing, we would lose our headroom. And so that's where the benefits of a PTZ camera come into play, because number one, you don't need a camera operator, but number two, you're able to control it from the control room. So we have a TriCaster switcher, and we're actually able to control our PTZ camera from our switcher, which is amazing, as well as through the actual JVC controller that we have. But if you have an NDI PTZ camera like this one here, which goes into our next thing, this camera utilizes NDI and SRT, you're able to control this camera through NDI monitor. And so you're able to launch the program and control it remotely. And so that's one of the advantages of this PTZ camera. This specific one is the connections. And so I'm gonna turn this camera around, go to the back here, and we'll cut to a B-roll shot. But you see that we have basically two connections. We have an SDI and a network. And so everything power, connection, control, video is all controlled through this single network cable. So this has PoE in, which is power over Ethernet. So you need to have a network switch that can connect to that, or a network switch that has PoE. And we're just connecting this to the network switch. We're providing power. And then with NDI, we're able to transmit the video over our network into our switcher, into really anywhere throughout the building. And that's one of the advantages of this camera, is that I'm able to take this camera and anywhere in my building, as long as I'm connected to a network switch, and I could even provide local power if I wanted. As long as I'm connected to that network switch, I can control this camera remotely. So whether I'm downstairs in the foyer, I'm in the nursery, I'm in our offices, pastor's office, whatever we want, as long as I'm connected network-wise, I'm able to control this camera and receive live video directly from my switcher in the room behind me. Versus with this, I have to run SDI cable, I have to get converters, I have to convert things to maybe fiber if the cable's too long for SDI, or I could just convert it to NDI, but then I have to do conversion. And so that's where this is really beneficial. And then the second cable that we have is SDI. Again, we're technically a hybrid system, so we do have some SDI equipment, cameras, projector, LED wall that we still use. SDI is still a great system. We're not getting rid of it by any means, but we use the SDI here to connect to our Blackmagic router that we use for routing signals into the switcher and stuff like that, but also for our shading station that we use to make sure the cameras are calibrated and things like that. So how could a PTZ benefit you guys where you're at? Well, number one, if you are a smaller size church and you have personnel constraints, meaning you don't have a lot of people, maybe it's you and your son or your daughter that are running the Sunday live stream. Hey, PTZ cameras are great because you can get several of them, you can put them up, you can frame them, you can pre-save shots. You have a lot of different options with that. Maybe you're in a studio environment and you don't have a lot of camera operators. This is great because guess what? You don't have camera operators in the studio to possibly distract the talent. Hopefully your talent's good, but it's nice because it's all remote. The talent can be in here without distractions. You don't have to invest in, viewfinder, intercom, controls, all that stuff. Or maybe you're a person that does a lot of corporate shows, corporate events, and you need flexibility of moving cameras places and having control in rooms that you may not be able to be a part of. Great opportunity for PTZ cameras. Again, if you don't like the image of this one, the actual physical video image of this one, check out Canon, check out Panasonic, check out Sony, because they've got a lot of great options out there. So again, if you guys like this video, hey, put a comment in there, share it out, share it with some friends. If you have any questions, comment along, but most importantly, subscribe and hit that bell notification to stay tuned for more. I want to give a shout out to Jaden, my camera operator. Thank you for doing this for the 18th million time. I appreciate it. But guys, take care and we'll see you in the next video.